Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe. Now, a man who has been at the helm of elective politics for the last 30 years and never lost even a single one until 2022. I'm talking about none other but the former Meru Governor KIRAITU Murungi. And did you know there is a Happiness Studies Academy? Let's now look at this interview as KIRAITU Murungi tells us what he has been up to in the last few months after losing the Meru gubernatorial election and now taking up the role of the chairman of board of directors at the National Oil Corporation. Take a look.
How are you? Hi, Flora.
Hi.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good. Yeah.
Karibu.
Good. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for creating time na kutu invite kwako. We are really grateful.
Karibuni sana.
Asante.
Yeah.
You seem to be very happy. Are you happy?
I told you, nobody is completely happy because in life, you're both happy and sad, but you try. So I can say where I am now, I am happy. I'm making a good progress in my pursuit of happiness. Yes. Yeah.
I understand you've joined the Happiness Studies Academy.
Yes.
Perhaps tell me about that and also what informed the decision to join it.
Happiness Studies Academy is a school of happiness based in New York in the US. And it is focusing on scientific study of happiness, some branch of positive psychology. Generally in life, people focus on negative things, especially you people in the media. You're looking for bad, negative stories. You call it the man bites dog. But positive psychology is trying to change that narrative. Usually psychology has been focusing on negative aspects of human life, anxiety, depression, and such. Positive psychology is looking at the other side of the coin. It's looking at, a pleasure, enjoyment, the happiness. And they're saying these are worth as much study as the studies about depression, anxiety, and other emotional disorders. So happiness is a branch of a positive psychology. And I stumbled into that when I myself was quite unhappy.
Take me back
Yes, I can take you back to that. Two things. First, remember around April 2021, I contracted COVID and I was hospitalized and I almost thought I was dying. Very emotional experience for me. And I somehow recovered. And then after that, remember I wrote an article because in the land phase of COVID, I was able to read books. I was able to reflect on my life and what I was doing in politics and also politics generally. And I remember one of the books I read was by a Roman philosopher called Seneca, who was talking about shortness of life. And he was saying life is not really short. It is us who waste it doing so many irrelevant things. And he was saying generally, especially for basic people, their life is stolen from them by others. You live your life trying to please, other people. So you don't live. And they say maybe time has come for people to focus on themselves. And I said, even me, when I looked at my life for the last 10 years, I've been in politics, actually my life had been stolen from me. You are very busy, running up and down, trying to deal with all manner of contradictory, unforeseen requests from people, but really do deeply focus on yourself even your own family, your own friends. You have no time for that. So I made a decision that I will liberate myself and recapture my life. I said I also have a right, to live a happy, enjoyable life. That was then. Then, politics pulls you. I found myself in a campaign for governor in 2022. A very grueling campaign. You're in Meru, you know how intense it was. And then, surprisingly, we lost.
For the first time
For
in
the
30
first
years.
time, this is the only election I lost and become more confident. I thought I knew, the game of politics.
How was it
So-
like? How did you deal with all that after losing the election?
Yeah, this is what I'm coming to. Initially it was shock, disbelief, but actually got very sad, very depressed after some time. Then, of course, people also around me, some crying because we have lost, and so I thought, let me take a break from all that. So I went to UK to visit the daughter who you have seen here, and I stayed out there for 2 weeks, basically doing nothing, trying to calm myself and also reflect again on my circumstances. And it dawned on me that really I have no reason to be sad, because even if I was a primary school teacher, I would have retired. People are retiring at the age of 70, of 60. I'm 70, 10 years past retirement age. So saying what I've done should be enough. I should not really complain too much. I should thank the people of Meru for allowing me to read them for that years. And then too, what next? So I had a lot of time to look at surf the internet, because I was indoor, not doing much. And that's how I came across this school, the Happiness Studies Academy. So I Googled, I read about them on Facebook, and I listened to some podcasts. And I was very impressed by the message, that they were sending, which is what I've told you, about people focusing too much on negative feelings and forgetting this whole other life of pleasure, happiness, and joy. And I was saying people are letting life pass by. We are not living. We are thinking about living. You are planning, getting disappointed, and all that, instead of immersing yourself into life and getting happy, getting the best out of it. So that struck me. I was wasting my time, mourning such things. Then I registered for that school so that I could know more about happiness, know how to make myself happier, and also spread happiness to those who are around me. And it has been a wonderful experience. Yes.
In most cases, you say politics stole your life.
Yes.
I understand that you have a very good relationship with your wife Priscilla and
Yes.
kids.
Yeah.
How did those 30 years affect the relationship between you and your family and also your social life?
Okay, I might say it was not easy. I got in politics when I was a young man and just been married. And you spend a lot of time in long, endless meetings. And the wife is lonely. So my wife threatened me with a divorce.
Really?
Yeah. She asked me to choose politics or her. Then those days, I think I was a bit too captured by the politics of the day. So I told my wife, I've chosen politics. And it was a shock. So she talked to some friends, and then she joined me. So reluctantly, she came to campaign with me in Meru. Yes. But she was a teacher. Yes. So she could deal with the public even better than myself. Mm-hmm. She helped me a lot. And I think from that, we have walked the journey together. We have enjoyed the highs in politics. But there have also been painful experiences which we've shared. And I think this is what makes life. When joy is there, you enjoy, you laugh, and get through it together. But when those low moments come, sometimes I'm abandoned, I'm home, very disappointed, disillusioned. But my wife is there to share. The disillusion had helped me analyze. So she has been a very valuable partner when it comes to all that. And now we are together.
Amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know beyond politics and books, you also write some very interesting poems. What informs the topics that you focus on? And maybe you could tell us one of your most interesting one from the Song of My Beloved.
I think poets are sensitive people. Even those which look ordinary, some poets will see more meaning, more deep aspects, of them. I started writing poetry very early, actually when I was at campus. And, those days we were reading about many things. I was a fan of socialism. And so you look at my poetry, it is socially engaged. I remember one time, I think it is Soyinka, who said, if you are a poet and you are writing poetry in a room, there's a woman being
screaming
in the next room, and you don't go to find out what's happening there, then you are not worth to be alive. So he was challenging, writers and literary critics to be socially engaged. So I think that is where I came from. You look at the Song of My Beloved. Actually, the first poem is about Wole Soyinka. So Wole Soyinka is a very complex writer. Not easy to penetrate because he has surrounded himself with so much idiom and such. So the poem tells him to undress himself so that we can see his beauty, right? Yeah, so basically simplify. My greatest poet was Okot Bitek, the Ugandan. I knew him personally because he was teaching at the University of Nairobi, those days. Okot was just telling stories about the rules in Uganda in a very simple way. So his poem flowed. Yeah, it is what, I think it's more of Okot Bitek who interested me in poetry than even all those other English poets and other people. So I brought some of that to Meru. And I think there's a poem about Meru.
Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, in my Song of My Beloved, which is talking about those ideal Meru, the Meru which is gone, the Meru which we have lost. Meru where, men used to dance their own dance. The boys were dancing Ngori, the girls Matoro, and then the older men and women would dance Kamano and Kegaro. And then, of course, we had our ridiculous customs then. The Meru men will never eat greens, not eat green vegetables. Those were for women. and they were looking down among the Kikuyus. I say, how the Kikuyu men eating green green vegetables. Therefore, there were not trio men like the men, like the Marians. And of course, placing our beautiful country, the Kirinyaga, Nyambene Hills, the hills of God, such. And then also how we raise our children. We should teach them Kimeru, not start them with English. We should be proud of our identity, our culture. I think you can read that poem.
Yes, it's very interesting now that you've mentioned Meru and the customs. You studied at one of the most prestigious schools, Harvard. What was your experience there? And some people still ask, is it by choice that you refuse to drop our great Meru accent?
I think I've explained that because you're younger people, you don't speak the Kimeru accent because maybe you have been socialized in a different environment. For us, we went to school in Meru. Our English teachers were Meru. And I had not come to Nairobi until about when I was 20. So I had no contact with the people who are not speaking Kimeru English. And we did not know about these accents until we came to places like Alliance High School and others. I was with my son in the US. When I was there, the young man started speaking through the nose, like an American. Yeah, so the accent that you have are not things you choose. They are things you grow into, you are socialized. So I was saying, having grown in Meru, having been a Meru, what other English do you expect me to speak? Yeah? And then who says my Kimeru English is inferior? Yeah, because the English are speaking English. The Americans are speaking American. The Italians are speaking Italian English. Why should we be ashamed of speaking Kimeru English? So long as I can communicate. And I've been all over the world. People hear and understand what I say. So this colonial mentality that you must speak Queen's English, I think it's time we got rid of it.
Yeah. Brings me to an interesting...
You have to be authentic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brings me to an interesting question as well, that most people have your KIRAITU MURUNGI. Perhaps, may I know, is there a meaning to your name?
Yeah, in the younger days, I used to be called Tito. My father was Daniel. So in primary school, they were calling me Tito and Daniel. What's that? Tito and Daniel can come from anywhere in the world, isn't it? Yeah, but we are lucky. In our early days, we met Professor Ngugi Thiong'o. And Ngugi Thiong'o and gone to Alliance High School, where he was James Ngugi. But later on, he changed his name to Ngugi Thiong'o. And when we had this engagement with him as students, he asked us our names. So he asked you a Christian name, he asked you what it means. Of course, you don't know. And then he asked us whether we had cows at home. We said we had. And he says, those cows have names. Yeah, we have the black one called Mukiri Omuiro, we have Mutune, all those things. He said, do you think those are the real names of these cows? Do you think the cows know? So he says during the slave trade, the colonials could not pronounce the names of the Africans. So they had to give them names which will be easier for them to pronounce. So that's why we find Nigerians, Ghanaians called John, Guinea Peter, such. So these are names given for the convenience of the master. I said, even us, the names we had, Tito, Stephen, and all that, were given us by colonial masters to make life easier for themselves when they are pronouncing your names. And they are not your real names. And for sure, we didn't even know the meaning. So he told us that's why he dropped from James Ngugi to Ngugi wa Thiong'o. So I went and got my grandfather's name, Kiraitu. So I also became Kiraitu Murungi. We dropped Tito. And later on, when I became a lawyer, I even changed at the Attorney General's office through and did Paul. So now I'm officially Kiraitu Murungi. Kiraitu means fire. And my grandfather was a traditional judge. He's the one who used to keep the whole title for administering it to the thieves.
Yes.
In the village those days when there was trial by ordeal.
Something titled The Happiness Journal on your table. What is it about? And is it your new project?
Yeah. Actually, this is my new project now. I thought after politics, I should do something else, which also impacts on people's lives. And I thought, since I've learned a lot from the Happiness Studies Academy, I could share part of what I'm learning there with the people of Kenya through this magazine. So we formed a center. We registered a center, Happiness Resource Center. It's new. And because we didn't have money to employ staff, I became the chief happiness officer.
Okay.
so that I could drive the dream and this implementation. So I'm saying after studying and learning about happiness at the Happiness Studies Academy in the US, we decided to register locally the Happiness Resources Center here. And because it is new, doesn't have money, I decided to be the chief happiness officer, so that, we can own the dream, share it, and also manage the implementation of the happiness revolution in our country. So the journal is about what is happiness, how do you pursue it, and why is it important for us to pursue happiness in our lives as a project. Yes. Yeah. So maybe I can explain a little more. Okay. Yeah. I think the whole idea is really to emphasize the centrality of happiness in our lives. People are not aware, but everything that we do in this world, it is all done in pursuit of happiness. The ultimate currency, the final destination of every human being you see is happiness. So, like you are now interviewing me here today, maybe you are not even interested in my story. You are employed. So you hope after this you get a salary, get some money. But what do you do with this money?
Seek happiness.
Yeah, you buy nice dresses, have a drink, maybe you hang out and go for disco. Make happiness. Studio. The surgeon is also busy, of course, dealing with the complicated cases in the theater. But at the end of it,
pursuit for one thing.
Yeah, maybe once he has been able to save a life of somebody who was about to die, that alone gives him satisfaction, gives him happiness. But you'll also be paid at the end and also do the same things you do. So everybody you see, even the bishop, is telling you, let not be forget, there's another world where you're going. And what is that world? What is up there in heaven? Heaven is marketed as a destination of permanent happiness. So the ultimate goal in life is happiness. So now, we are learning about mathematics in school, and biology, geography. Why are we not studying this very important subject called happiness. So that is why the Happiness Studies Academy has decided, to focus on this as a branch of positive psychology. Actually, the boss of the Happiness Studies Academy was a professor of psychology at Harvard University. And his class was the most popular at the Harvard University. And that's why he decided to focus on it outside the university. Yeah. I hope to bring him here in a year or two.
Yes.
To come and talk to our universities here.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a world famous professor. Yeah.
And now let's, as we wrap up, let's come to the nation.
Yes.
We are all in pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
But it comes at a time when there's high cost of living, protest all over. What do we need to do as a country or the government?
That brings you to a question of money, poverty. Of course, in theory, you have under a lot of people saying that money cannot buy happiness. But money does buy happiness up to a certain point. Because if you don't have, say you are below the poverty line, you can't pay your bills, you can't meet some basics like food, clothing, you can't be happy. Poverty brings you anxiety, it brings a lot of pain and suffering. Imagine seeing your children around you and you can't feed them. It's a very painful experience.
It is.
So they say we have to work hard to get some level of material comfort. But beyond that, money does not give you happiness. It can be a source of worry, can be a source of anxiety. So we need to balance. Now in a situation like where we find ourselves today, situations of unemployment, situations of poverty and all that, how do we get out of them? You don't get out of them by merely talking, thinking. In fact, thinking too much will depress you. You'll become unhappy. So try to look for spaces, within that life. I do remember, I don't know whether you've read about V.S. Naipu. It was an Indian author who visited India, and they went to have a drink in one of the 5-star hotels. And he found the elite there, the Indian elite, who are saying how the country is burning, people are so depressed. There's a lot of unhappiness at that level of society. And then from there, he went downstairs to the street and they found Indians feeding cows, others roasting cassava, and very, very busy, in the slums. And he said these people are not talking like the ones he met in the hotel. These people are living their life. So happiness is not linked to your economic status in a society. You can be in State House as a president and be very unhappy there. You could be sleeping somewhere in one of the slums and have your own happiness, at that level. So the question is, how do you think your positive attitude to life? I like our preachers who go around saying God knows you are there. Even if you don't have a job today, God knows you are there and you'll be having a job tomorrow. Have some hope. This will make you happier than being depressed. Yeah.
Thank you so much for creating time to speak to us. We appreciate as we continue to champion for happiness.
All right, asante sana.
Yeah.
I'll give you a copy of the Happiness Journal.
Okay.
Sorry. I want you to be happy in your life.
I will.
All right?
Okay.
Yeah, and preach happiness.
Okay.
All right. This is my new religion.
Great.
Yes. Kankoinie makenare kankoinie.
They hold hands when dancing?
No, you just dance.
Okay.
Kankoinie kiraine wikandene kanyere kainagua ne mwene kanyere ne mwene. Thank you. Asante.
Okay.
All right.